Good weekend, everyone. I hope you're all having an amazing week so far. Detroit collections were announced, the next Spark Week is scheduled, and a monster roadmap update for Meta Motors and more. Welcome to This Week in Review on Upland, where we take a bit of time to discuss what's going on in the Upland metaverse from an analytical perspective. If this is your first time landing on our page, welcome to the crew, my friend. I hope to earn your like and subscription today. How healthy is the UpX economy? How is each market sector performing? Which is the best deal and which is the worst? All of the important information that many folks overlook that can be the difference between success and failure. If you'd like to join all of us in the Upland metaverse buying, collecting, and flipping virtual real estate NFTs, click my promo link in the description. It gets you into Upland with 6,000 starting UpX instead of the regular 4,500. And if you decide to invest some cash, you also get a massive 50% bonus to your first purchase with a bonus cap of 50,000 UpX. Make sure to check out all the details and all the other perks and everything else on ssftg.com/upland. Real quick before we jump on in, I want to take a look at a Street View submission from Joe Gallardo. Thank you for posting. We've got a property 18401 West 8 Mile Road. Let's take a look here. You can go through into a pool room. Coolest property you own. Let's take a look here. Let's go into the Street View. Ooh. Okay, cool. We've got like a little restaurant area here. Okay, we gotta make sure there's nothing that's gonna make the video unmonetized here. We've got some Poker Star stuff. All right, nice little bar area. I always love it. Oh, I was gonna say, I always love it when you can go through these areas. The doors open. Roseland Bar and Grill, wide open too. That's really cool. Let's go back into the sweet little pool room. All right, it's kind of like a little dive bar. I really dig this. That's really cool. Red Wings logo. Got the. Is that the kitchen? It's just that little kid. That's so cool. That's a really awesome one. Thank you for posting. I always love those dive bar things. Those things are really cool. There's like those little hidden gems because they usually have like the best food and the best atmosphere. That's usually how that works. Anyway, with the fun stuff out of the way, let's take a look at what's going on in this past week in the Upland metaverse, shall we? First off, on the news event side of things, we have the Los Angeles La La Land Tour. Registration for the La La Land Tour is scheduled to go off on Monday, March the 14th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's going to close 1 hour before the tour begins. And then you want to make sure to complete the tour by Tuesday the 15th at 11:59, basically midnight, and you could earn the .01 Spark reward, which is really awesome. The cost to register is 2,000 UpX, and everybody is meeting for this one in downtown Los Angeles right here. So you're going to start meeting in downtown Los Angeles on Tuesday, March 15th at 10 o'clock, and they're going to embark on the La La Land Tour. The tour is going to take us through all of the different streets and skyscrapers in downtown, peaceful beaches on the Pacific Coast, all kinds of cool things. And it's a really neat way to just kind of learn a new area, especially if you're not very familiar with the West Coast side of things. Along with the La La Land Tour on March 9th, they had a little bit of a collection rework, which kind of has some of its own implications. Visually, it makes it so that we can actually see our block explorers, which is kind of nice. But along with that, there's something else to consider here. That comes down to this part right here, active versus inactive collections. For folks who are looking to really stack chips, you know, it's a status thing. When you have a Jumbotron stack of chips, that was kind of a, you know, their shtick. That's gone now, and now it's all about the numbers. Well, the problem is the only numbers that show up there are considered active, meaning that you actually have to own a property in that collection and it has to be running at the time. That's a big implication because if people want to have active chips, they're going to have to go out and buy those collections. Now, if you've previously already unlocked a collection, it'll be in your inactive collections chip, but that's not going to show up in the number down there, and if that's what people are pushing for, they're going to have to possibly go back out and buy a lot of their older collection pieces that they might not had to worry about up until now. I think this might actually bring quite a bit of value to collections, and as we go into the pricing, we'll see that reflected pretty obviously. March 10 gave us the standard challenges and all of that. If this is something that you're a big fan of, then we've got our March challenges. We've got Rising Star, Great Start, and People's Champ. Rising Star measures the player who completes the most collections during the week. Great Start measures the visitors who had the most unique sends to their properties. And People's Champ measures the number of unique sends by a player to visitor properties. So those 3 things are going on, and those are going to go live on Thursday, March 10th, which actually a couple days ago at 9 a.m., and that's going to go until Sunday the 13th today until around midnight, so make sure to get those all finished up. Of course, March 10 also had Detroit Collection reveals and all of that, but we'll get into that a little bit because we've actually got the numbers and everything now. Now when we get into the zone by zone, we can break down each sector and it's going to be really exciting. I'm assuming that the Detroit collections are going to be pretty volatile for a while, but that aside, along with that on March 11th, we have the announcement of the March Spark Week. Spark Week is going to be coming back on Monday, March 14th at 9 a.m., and that is going to be when it officially begins. And that's going to give us the status up Spark rewards. There's too many S's in that one. Spark sales in the Upland store, boosted Spark treasure tiers, all kinds of cool stuff. So that Spark Week is going to conclude on March the 21st at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. As far as the status up Spark rewards and the cost of Spark when the sale goes live and all of that fun stuff, looks like it's staying the same pricing, so nothing's changing there. 0.05 Spark is $30. There's going to be 3,000 available, all the way up to 1 full Spark for $460, but there are only 75 of those available. Here's the thing, though, with Spark Week and the Spark sale, we've got Metamotors, and that's a big deal when we're talking about Spark. They've already made mention of how it's going to play a role in it, so we've got to assume that Spark may have a bit more demand this time around. March 11 also gives us the Thrifty Trader Challenge for Detroit. That's going to be starting March the 14th as well at 9 o'clock. And that's when it all kicks off for the Detroit side of things. For those of you who love the Thrifty Trader Challenges, now's your time. This one's really cool, though, because if you place in the top 200, you get this really awesome engine block as a block explorer. That's really cool. And then comes the big chunk of news on March 11th, the Q1 of 2022 roadmap update. This is a big one. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm not going to cover every single detail of it, but there are some really big tidbits in here that we want to cover. The first notable thing going on is the AMA, which is going to be taking place on Tuesday, March 15th at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard, and that's going to be on YouTube. And actually, if you click this, that is a link for it as well. Make sure to register for that so you don't miss it. But, you know, going in through some of the more notable things that stand out, obviously the future of transportation, this one's going to catch the eyes of basically everybody. So one of the first exciting pieces of this is that they're talking about in Q2 already, which, we're basically here, expect to see the deployment of our very first manufacturing plant, which you can actually already begin staking on in Santa Clara, California. That's going to serve as the headquarters of Upland's native car brand Metaverse Motors. How awesome is that? So Upland is going to begin the process of manufacturing the very first cars in the metaverse at this plant, which is where, you know, you're going to be able to pick up your very first vehicles for racing, ride-sharing, delivery service. I mean, there's so much cool stuff coming with this. Man, I'm excited. Construction on the Santa Clara plant is already started. Let's see if we can pull that up real quick. And here is the Oracle building, 4220 Network Circuit MM Motors. Notice the owner. Ooh, they've only got one property, and guess what it is, right? They're here, and we're building. How cool is this? Another really interesting aspect of this when it comes to racing is what it sounds like they're going to be implementing in a Unity-based experience for the Upland Metaverse. That's going to give us a really dynamic and repeatable, competitive, lucrative kind of stuff, right? Not only that, but think of this, right? There could be other business models based around betting on racers. If you're an incredibly good racer, like for me, I'm not a racer. I'll do it for fun, and I'm probably just going to perpetually lose, but that's just not my thing. Like, I'm going to have a lot more enjoyment just driving around because that's kind of what I enjoy doing. I've even got a steering wheel, which, by the way, I'm really hoping they have some kind of support because my Logitech steering wheel is sitting right there. I know you can't see it, but man, it's waiting. A really cool portion of this is going to be at South by Southwest this year. They're going to be unveiling a playable alpha demo that's going to be showcasing a select racetracks and some really, really cool stuff. Man, if you're in the South by Southwest area, you've got to see if you can swing into this. I think the tickets are free, too. They're working on a ton of other stuff here. Make sure to swing over and look at all of the different updates here because there is a lot. Another one of big interest that kind of stands out, Spark login bonuses and a few others, so make sure to read through this. Lots of info. And just as a side announcement, a really cool one as far as Upland and the overall Upland metaverse. They were nominated for Best Innovation. You can see it right here. So any developer or technology or company that's pushing the boundaries of what's possible on mobile devices through a new technology, be it hardware or software, and Upland is on the list. So make sure to check that out. That's on mobilegameawards.com. Cast your votes, get them in the running, get whatever we need to do, and we'll get them to win that one. How cool would that be to see Upland on the top of the list for Best Innovation? Hoo, hoo, hoo. All right, with all the fun stuff out of the way, let's get down to business. The market analytics. 30-day transactional volume last week was 3.815 billion. This week it's 3.648 billion. That's a change down 4.37%. With the collection launches and everything else, I think we're finally starting to see the market begin to stabilize, question mark, right? There's still, I mean, MetaMotor, there's so many things going on the horizon now that it's hard to say that it's ready to stabilize. I think it's as soon as we're able to take a breath, then we have to hold our breath for the next big announcement. And that could be exactly what we're seeing right now, is that inhale. Even after a big launch like Detroit, granted, a lot of it was FSA properties, and I did a whole video going on the health of the Upland economy because of these types of things. If you missed it, make sure to go and watch that. But, you know, overall, we're finding a pretty nice balance, and it's sort of coming back to feeling like it's holding its breath, and I think it's pretty obvious as to why. Everybody knew what Detroit meant. It's not just the new city with a bunch of FSA and all of that. It also meant MetaMotors was coming. And, well, interestingly, they're building in Santa Clara. I can't say that I was expecting that one. I'm going to be 100%. I thought for sure they were going to put a plant in Detroit. But, hey, whatever. Either way they want to play it, we've got MetaMotors coming, and I think a lot of people are holding their breath because they're going to have to buy cars. I'm curious to see how the transactional volume for vehicles plays into this. If it's going to be a separate thing or how that all is going to work. I'm not so sure. We might have another little window in here that we're going to have to pay attention to. And then over to our zone-by-zone analysis, first off with Bakersfield. Now, before we go through these, I want to preface the USD numbers because you're going to see this as a commonality across all of them. As I was getting ready to update the USD side, they announced the Spark sale. Well, of course, when they announce a Spark sale, everybody's going to be offloading properties for USD way cheaper than they normally would because they want USD to buy Spark. So the USD numbers are pretty heavy on the downside this week, but there's a pretty big reason as to why. With that in mind, looking at Bakersfield first off, we have the previous floor at 8,589, the current floor at 9,000. That's up 4.79%. The USD floor is from 799 down to 650. That's down 18.65%. Looking at the numbers on the collection side of things, one that's incredibly notable, and this is one that we talked about last week. You guys, come on, you can't be this aggressive. Jeez. Last week we were talking about on how the Oaks was down so much. This week it's up 50%. Geez, oh Pete's. Along with that, there are a couple others that are diving on the downside here. On the limited collection side of things, Seven Oaks is down 12.58%. And we've got an 8% dive on the exclusive collection in Pacheco Road? I think I said that right. Outside of that, though, relatively calm and quiet in Bakersfield. On the Bronx side of things, if we're looking at the previous UPEX floor, 10,495, the current UPEX floor, 9,500, that's down 9.48%. On the USD side of things, though, Bronx not really seeing that pullback, although they are already fairly cheap. 797 down to 777. Love that. Down 2.51%. The lowest markup in the Bronx area is 74.74%. The collection side of things, well, kind of stable to down on the lower side of things, which is usually an indication of people trying to get UPEX liquid. We have a little bit of a pullback on the collection side, especially standard collections like Throg's Neck being down 15.1%. And just in general, the Bronx overall being down almost 10%, definitely helping in that pullback. And this is where the collections start turning up the heat like we were talking about. Over in Brooklyn, the previous UPEX floor was 10,800. The current floor is 11,000. That's up 1.85%. The previous USD floor was $9. The current is $7.99. That's down 11.22%. We already know why that's happening. The lowest markup is 111.11. I love that. And in terms of the overall percentages, holy moly. The upper end of things getting a little bit clubbed. We've got exclusive collections and rare collections, ultra rares. They're down 25% on ultra rares, 13% on rare collections. But that's where things shift a little bit. Exclusive collections like Broadway are up almost 20%, and then things go crazy. Standard collections like Crown Heights up 37%. Bushwick up 22%. Monster gains on the Brooklyn side of things for the lower portion of collections. The upper side sliding a little bit. Chicago is next up, and of course I can't help myself with that one. Chicago had the previous UPEX floor at 7,990 rather. The current floor is 6,000. That's down 24.91%. Some of these were on there very quickly and then gone, and then on there very quickly and then gone again. So it's kind of up in the air. If we actually look right now, the current UPEX floor might be a little bit different here. Woof, man, that USD floor really slid out. So looking at the USD floor, it's actually even lower now. It was 540, now it's 499. It's down even lower. Again, we know why that is. But looking at the lowest markup, 71.82%. The collection side of things is all over the place. We've got Lakeshore Drive, which is down almost 50% on the rare collection side of things. Exclusive collections like Gold Coast down almost 20%. But then in the same breath, 35% up in limited collections like West Division. We've got huge back and forths here. So Chicago is a big area of back and forth. Over in Cleveland, we have 9,798 previous UPEX floor, current floor 8,999. That's down 8.15%. On the USD side of things, 765 down to 650. That's down 15%. The lowest markup at the moment, 79.34%. Pretty heavy on the hit side of things there. Looking at collections here again, a lot of flipping and a lot of flopping, but predominantly the lower limited and standard collections are catching a nice lift. The exclusives are catching a bit of a ding. We have Lorraine Avenue down 23%, while other collections like Ultra Rares and East 4th down 30%. There are some pretty nice sales. Fresno has a previous UPEX floor at 9,400, the current UPEX floor 9,555. That's actually up 1.65%. And something that I wasn't expecting to see, the previous USD floor $7, the current $7.99. That's actually up 14%. Seems to be quite a bit of support coming into the Fresno side of things. From a collection perspective, that's where the strength kind of stops. Everything's getting slapped around except the Van Nesses, which I think is the one that we were talking about last week. That's up 28%. All of the other ones are down 19% in Blackstone Ave and 15.9% in the North Growth area. Everything getting on the collection side, a little bit of a pullback. In Detroit, we finally have all the collection information. We've got all kinds of stuff to work with. Obviously, I don't know how much things are up or down comparative to last week because we just got the collection data. But looking at some of the data that we do know, the previous UPEX floor, last time I was able to document it, 4,539. The current floor, 4,000. This is wildly fluctuating. The previous USD floor, there wasn't enough time last time around to have a USD floor. Currently, it's at $3.41. The lowest markup in Detroit that, well, and again, this can change very quickly, but that was at 68.11%. If we're looking at the collections, this is where I think a lot of interest is going to lie because we've got a huge amount of things going on here as far as collection information. So let's take a look at what's happening here so far in terms of developing pricing. Brightmoor currently resting at around 8,500. We've got Springwells resting at 13,500. Jefferson Chalmers coming in at 22,950. Along with East English Village, very close, 24,949. Rosedale Park, 22,222. All of those limited collections kind of stacking in together pretty closely. Midtown jumping, but that makes sense. It's right by downtown, 42,200. And there are only two necessary for that one. That's going to inflate the price. We also have Grand Boulevard coming in 26,000, Woodbridge at 29,000, and Corktown coming in at 47,000, basically 48,000. Those are the limited collections. Going into the exclusives, Grand River Avenue first up, 69,000 at the moment. Gratiot Ave 59,000, basically 60,000. Brush Park 87,500, 85,000, and Woodward Ave downtown coming in at 110. Going into the rare collection side of things, Chicago Boulevard, 205,000, Bagley Street, 232,966, and Harbor Island Street, 475,000. And finally, we have some of the historic Motor City properties. 2.1 million is the floor on that side of things. We finally have some information to work with. Kansas City's next up, and the previous UPEX floor coming in at 8,980, current floor 8,490. That's down 5.46%. The previous USD floor 747 to 599. That's down 19.81%, but again, that makes sense as to what's going on. Lowest markup 51.92%. Looking across the collections are, for the most part, either stable or taking a bit of a ding here. In Kansas City, first off, we've got some nice support coming in on the standard collection for Shoal Creek. That's up 15%. We also have Charlotte up 10%. Now, some of the other notable ones, like exclusive collections in Troost Ave, down 20%. We also have Grand Boulevard, which is down 30%. Some pretty big ebbs and flows going on over here. Los Angeles is next up. The previous UPEX floor, 7,300. The current floor, 6,666. The previous USD floor, 580. The current floor, 554. That's down 4.48%, and then the UPEX is down 8.68%. Lowest markup is 51.88%. And if we're looking at the collections, there's a lot of back and forth, but some notable ones: Hollywood Lifestyles, the ultra rare, down 55.79%. From 9.9 million to 4.3 million. We also have a 30% drop over in Scenes of LA from 5.5 to 3.8. But on the other end of things, going on the lower side of collections, standards like Los Feliz up 15%. We have 10% gains over in limited collections like Westwood and Chavoy Hills, I think is how you say it. 20% gains in Ventura Boulevard. There's a lot of good ebb and flow going on. Manhattan showing us the previous UPEX floor at 124,980, current floor 132,490, starting to see Manhattan go on the incline. Previous USD floor 105, current floor 112, that is up 6.67%, and UPEX is up 6% respectively. Lowest markup in all of the area, 288.12%. Collection side of things, some are definitely catching some big flips, like here in the limited collection Broadway, down 28%. Exclusive Tribeca down 33%, 26% down over in Houston Street. But we also have exclusive collections like the Financial District, of course. Where else would be going up right now? Up 28.82%. But overall, it seems like on the collection side of things, Manhattan's getting a bit of a pullback. On the floor side of things, it's looking pretty healthy. Nashville's hanging out in unchanged land over here. Previous floor 9,000, current floor 9,000. Previous USD 777 down to 699. That's down 10% there, with the lowest markup being 60.26%. On the collection side of things, we've got some pretty big moves. First off, the ultra rare live music venues is down 46% from 2.5 million to 1.35. But equally, we have Gallatin? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm messing it up, I'm sure. That one's up 60%. Holy cow. Beyond that, not really much else going on. Pretty calm and quiet. It seems like the majority of the movement is taking place on the upper crust of Nashville. New Orleans next up, unchanged over here, with the previous floor 9,000, current floor 9,000. Previous USD floor 748, current floor 850. That's up 13.64%. Not something you'd expect to see ahead of a Spark sale. Lowest markup 66.81%. On the collection side, relatively calm and quiet, honestly. I mean, not really much going on in New Orleans. We've got a pretty heavy pullback in the exclusive Royal collection, down 14.86%. The ultra rare Audubon Place is up 14.23%, and limited collection down 7.9% in Lakeshore Lake Vista. But that's really about it. Over in Oakland, we've got the previous UPEX floor, 12,500, the current floor, 99.99. That's down 20% on the pullback side of things there. The previous USD floor, 875 down to 870. Not much going on there, down 0.5% basically. Lowest markup being 67.9%. On the collection side of things, we've got a lot of ebbing and a lot of flowing going on. The standard collections are obviously, the lowest portion of that. The basic citywide collections down 20%, like we already talked about. But some of the other ones, like as an example, the exclusive collection in Telegraph Ave, that's up 33%. We have another 33% gain in College Ave Rare collection. Some pretty nice movers over here in the Oakland area, even if the UPX floor isn't necessarily doing too great right now. Rutherford's next up on the list. Real quick one over here. Previous UPX floor, 45,900. Current floor, 47,000. The USD floor, previously 37, now 39. We've got gains across the board. UPX is up 2.4%. USD up 5.41. Lowest markup, 174.06. On the collection side, basically unchanged or marginally up in the Feronia way. But that's really about it. Rutherford pretty just calm and stable. San Francisco. Over in San Francisco, the previous UPX floor, 28,900. Current floor, 25. That's down 13.49%. We also have an USD floor from 23 down to 20. That is down 13%, with the lowest markup being 212.59%. Overall, the San Francisco collection side of things, I mean, we can see that some of these are getting pretty big back and forth. Sunset doing nice and healthy, up 2.99%. I'm a big fan of Sunset because that's the one that I'm involved in. But beyond that, we've also got Mission District down 17.39%, or Pacific Heights up 41%. If that's not good enough, how about the exclusive Seacliff collection up 60%? Does that tickle your fancy? We've got a lot of big back and forth going on over in the San Francisco area, and overall, this is kind of the OG market, right? This is the one that's been around the longest, and, well, it seems to be doing pretty healthy on some of these gains. Wow. Santa Clara is next up on the list. At the previous UPX floor, 21,968, current 21,750. That is down basically 1%. On the USD side of things, 17.99 to 16.45, down 8.56%, with the lowest markup, 95.48%. On the collection side, everything doing relatively well. I mean, we do have a small 4% pullback in Southwest, down 4%, but otherwise, everything is doing pretty healthy over here in Santa Clara, and it would make sense. Now with Meta Motors moving in here, this is going to get pretty interesting. And then finally, Staten Island, previous UPX floor 11,111, current floor 11,600. That's up 4.4%. Previous USD floor 997, down to 8. That's down 19.76% there, and we know why again. Lowest markup 170.42% on this side of things, and there are some monster movers over here in Staten Island. First off, even in the limited collection like Tottenville, up 29.73%, but look at this one. On the rare collection, St. Paul's Ave up 89%. Holy moly, this thing is just ripping over in Staten Island. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week in review on the Upland Metaverse. There's a lot going on, and that doesn't look like it's going to be slowing down with Meta Motors and Spark. I mean, holy moly, just strap in because it's not slowing down at all. I hope you and yours are doing incredibly well this weekend and your stacks are as thick as ever. Have an amazing rest of your weekend, getting ready for vehicles, apparently, on the horizon. We're going to have to save up some UPX and Spark, probably, to get ready for those, charge those bad boys up, and we'll be cruising down the road faster than you can snap. Anyway, have a great one. We'll see you all back on Monday. Thanks for watching.